Deputy Donnelly.
Thank you, Corla. Tanaiste, this morning I received a letter from 66 pensioners in Carnew, County Wicklow, and they were writing to express their outrage at the scrapping of the telephone rental allowance. As a result, many are being forced to cancel their landlines, and what they're saying is not only will this cut them off from friends and family, but it will also cut them off from their community-based alarm system. Benny Conaghan said the following, Tanaiste: "They shouldn't have taken it from us in the first place because it means so much to us with no family. We rely on it for emergency response." Lil Kilbride said, "I'm very annoyed over the telephone cuts. I only have a certain amount to live on. I've had a stroke, making it hard to use a mobile phone." Pat Shepherd said, "I'm upset and angry. The pension is small enough to live on. It annoys me immensely to hear them say they haven't touched the pension, but there are so many other things like the prescription charges and increase in fuel." Unfortunately, Tanaiste, we don't know what the total impact of the budget is on Mr Shepherd.
Please.
We don't know, Tanaiste, the total impact of the budget on Mr Shepherd or the other pensioners. Before the budget was introduced in Leaders' Questions, I asked you to let Dáil Éireann know how the burden of the budget was going to be distributed across our society, and you refused. But now we know. This morning, 1 week after the finance bill was voted through by this government, the ESRI has presented that analysis. So here's what's happened in Budget 2014.
But we haven't time now for the whole budget.
The poorest 10% of people in the country are being asked to give up the most. The next poorest 10% in the country are being asked to give up the next amount. And if you look at 80% of the population, you see a correlation between how poor you are and how much Budget 2014 takes off you. Now, we all know, Tanaiste, the budget has to be closed, but it doesn't have to be closed like this. I bet you couldn't find a single Fine Gael or Labour TD willing to go on television and defend and explain why it is right and proper that the poorest people in this country are being asked to give up the most in this budget.
A question, please. Thank you.
That's exactly, however, that's exactly, Tanaiste, what this budget does and what this government has done through the social welfare bill and the finance bill. So my question, Tanaiste, to you is this. When you ordered Labour TDs last week to vote through the finance bill, did you know that you were asking them to vote for something that was going to take the most amount from the poorest people in this country?
Thank you. Tanaiste, would you please stay quiet in the back benches? Thanks very much. This is between the Tanaiste and the questioner. And we don't need your help either. I appreciate your assistance. I must put you on the panel of chairmen if you're interested. Thank you.
Well, first of all,
suck a sweet or something, would you?
First of all, the ESRI published 2 reports yesterday, Deputy Donnelly. You've only referred to one of them. They published a report on which they do each year, on the distributional, what they call the distributional impact of the budget measures, based on a model that they call the switch model. But they also published a second report, which was looking at the impact of social transfers on people at risk of poverty. In respect of the report in relation to the distributional analysis, the ESRI itself acknowledges that they are having difficulties with the switch model. And they are, I acknowledge, making some progress in expanding the coverage of that model. But as they accept themselves in the report, they are still experiencing difficulties in incorporating all of the budget measures within their model, particularly in assessing the impact on higher incomes. The ESRI has acknowledged that the model exaggerates the scale of the actual losses in the budget as it assumes more income is taxed and welfare payments fall behind average incomes. Now, nobody doubts, however, that all of the budgets that have had to be introduced in recent years have had a serious impact on the incomes of people right across the country. But despite those difficulties, we have managed to maintain core social welfare rates. There have been no cuts in the old age pension. We have not increased taxes on working people. we managed to take 330,000 people out of the universal social charge. We reversed the cut in the minimum wage, and in this year's budget we're providing free GP care to children who are aged under 6. In respect of the second report that was published by the ESRI, which looks, as I said, at the impact of social transfers in reducing the risk at poverty, the findings of that report are unambiguous. Social transfers, including pensions, have reduced the at-risk of poverty rate by 71%. In other words, 7 out of every 10 people in our society would be at increased risk of poverty without the redistribution that is provided for by the social protection system in this country. It shows also that Ireland is at the top end of the range of EU 15 countries in the effectiveness of social transfers in reducing poverty, and that the welfare system is playing a pivotal role in alleviating poverty in Ireland. Now, as I said, nobody doubts, nobody is trying to argue that there is any sugarcoating that can be put on the measures that have had to be adopted in the budgets. But the main issue is that we have now reached a point where we know that the approach that the government is taking is working. We are now seeing an economy where jobs are being created again. It is that creation of employment and that growth in the economy that will generate the revenues that will enable us to ensure that people can have hope of a better future and will enable us to begin to look at the areas where improvements can be made again.
Thank you. Deputy Donnelly, 1 minute. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanaiste. Tanaiste, you say it's working. Who is it working for? Because it's not working for the poorest people in the country. What you are espousing is old-fashioned, Thatcherite, Reagan economics. It says, take care of the rich and the benefits will trickle down. Now, you can question...
Sorry. Would you settle down, please? Deputy. Deputy, would you resume your seat for a minute? Thanks. Listen, you're wasting your time shouting because nobody can hear because there's so many people shouting. Would you allow him to put his question? He's 1 minute to do it. Thank you. And we don't, again, Deputy McGrath, I appreciate your help, but I don't really need it.
It seems, Tanaiste, that we've hit on a sensitive issue, because the analysis is unambiguous. And of course there are always errors in analysis, but the ESRI analysis is the best we have. I discussed it with them this morning on the phone, and it is solid. And it says unambiguously, this government in Budget 2014 is asking the poorest people in the country to take the greatest share of the correction. That is a fact. That is what you're doing. And it is a disgrace.
Question, please. Thank you.
It's bad social policy, it's bad economic policy, and it leads to a rise of inequality. And inequality is bad for everybody. And you of all people know that. But that is what you are doing. So the question is, why is it happening? Why is the Dáil, why are Labour TDs voting through a budget that hits the poorest hardest? Now, I believe that part of the reason is because none of us know what we're voting for because we don't have the analysis when we vote. Now, maybe I'm being naive, but I believe that if the TDs in your party, who I have great respect for, had the analysis at the time of the vote and before the vote that we have today, they would have demanded changes to what they had to vote for. And that is why the analysis is so important. So, Tanaiste, I'm missing my kids' Christmas play to be here to ask you this question. So do me a favour, thank you, do me a favour, and answer the question.
Thank you. I'll get you back to your Christmas party quicker if you sit down. Thank you.
Is it the end for the shoemaker?
Sorry, Deputy, you don't understand there's a time limit. Would you listen to me? You're way over time.
Did you know that that bill was going to take the most from the poorest in the country? That's the question.
Well, I'm sorry you're missing your children's Christmas play. But can I predict what you won't miss? I think you will not miss the Fianna Fáil Parliamentary Party away day in 2015 before the general election. Because I predict, Deputy Donnelly, I predict, Deputy Donnelly, I predict, Deputy Donnelly, that is where you are heading, and that you will be. I predict that you will be wearing the Fianna Fáil jersey at the next general election. And between now and then, you will do Fianna Fáil's work for them by coming in here. I am an independent, and I am quoting a very worthwhile independent document in order to criticise the government. So here's the answer for you, Deputy Donnelly. Here's the answer for you, Deputy Donnelly. The party that I believe that you will be a candidate for in the next general election, cut social welfare rates, cut the minimum wage, put people, low-paid people, into the universal social charge. This is the government that has taken low-paid people out of the universal social charge, reversed the cut in the minimum wage, reinstated the joint labour committees, and protected people on core social welfare rates.
That completes leaders' questions for today.